What's going on, man? Welcome back to the basement. I'm Ron. We got the Jets hat on. The NFL draft just wrapped up last night. We have a lot of thoughts and feelings. I am hopping on here live to just kind of talk through what happened. We're going to go pick by pick, starting from the top, and just kind of talk through the fantasy football, dynasty fantasy football, winners and losers, talk about these rookies, how I feel about these rookies now, these landing spots, right? Everybody wants to know what happened to Trevor Lawrence in Dynasty. Is Chris Godwin now in the Shadow Realm? Is Emeka Egbuka now in the Shadow Realm? We're going to cover it all. We're going to go pick by pick. Here, let's talk about Travis Hunter to the Jaguars, because Cam Ward is already set in stone. We knew that was going to happen. I have a bunch of notes here on just like every single player, but we're going to kind of talk through each pick as it pertains to fantasy, talk through kind of the winners and losers. You guys can pick my brain on what's going on here, but they trade up. Now, I think the first loser here is the Browns. I think, sure, they got a ton of value moving back, but in terms of like the Browns pieces, like, it's not great. Like, the Browns are just kind of in this purgatory. But with Travis Hunter, it's super, super exciting, right? He goes to the Jaguars, and this was never even really... It was never even really a possibility. I will say I'll take a small victory lap for saying Trevor Lawrence is a buy candidate on a video we posted two or so days ago, because I thought there was a lot of steam they were going to go receiver, but I thought it was going to be Tet McMillan. Instead, they trade up, they grab Travis Hunter, and I think the biggest takeaway from that is that you're not going to trade up, right? Again, they traded the 5th, the 36th, the 126th, and their 2026 first, not for a corner, but for a wide receiver. And we get this quote right after the draft. What is your vision for Travis Hunter? Do you see him playing more on offense? Liam Cohen says we'll have a plan right now of him playing primarily on offense, with him learning the defensive system and practicing on the defensive side of the ball as well throughout this offseason program. So they're going to play both ways, but offense is going to be his primary position, which is huge, right? That means we're talking like 70% plus of the routes. We're talking him being fully utilized as the wide receiver. And now Travis Hunter goes from having the quarterback, whoever maybe the Browns draft at 33, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, to now Trevor Lawrence, which is a massive, massive upgrade. Now, of course, the Browns don't have a wide receiver as good as Brian Thomas Jr., and this is kind of where I want to start when we talk about the Jaguars here, because something that I was seeing a lot on Twitter is this idea of like, oh my God, like now there's too many mouths to feed. You got to sell Brian Thomas Jr. This is a loss for Travis Hunter. And I just want to pump the brakes on all that talk, right? They get rid of Christian Kirk. They get rid of Evan Ingram. Their next best receivers after Brian Thomas Jr. is Diami Brown, Gabriel Davis, and Brenton Strange. That is air. That is nothing. We could see a super consolidated target share up top where both Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter, right? Travis Hunter has a rookie, probably 20% plus target share. Brian Thomas Jr. can flirt with 25% plus target share. And I think that in this offense, that's absolutely fine. Like, it's not a zero-sum game. It's not going to be this thing of like one of them is massively hurt. Because right now we're in a situation similar to kind of when it was Jamar Chase and T. Higgins with the Bengals. We don't know which one of these guys is Jamar Chase. So saying that like one caps the ceiling of the other is like they both have the ceiling to potentially be top 5 guys. We'll see how it shakes out. It is interesting to note that Brian Thomas Jr. was a monster in terms of yards per out run last year, but he didn't have that Malik Neighbors like 30% targets per out run. He was more like a 25% targets per out run guy. He doesn't need, 15 targets a game. I think we're going to see a lot more of the, shallow, easy button touches going to Travis Hunter, and I think they can both thrive. Like, I'm not really going to be moving. Yeah, I guess I didn't mention Parker Washington, but he doesn't really, move the needle for me per se, but he'll be like a good slot receiver for them. But what I'm trying to say is I would pump the brakes on being like, this sucks for Travis Hunter, this sucks for Brian Thomas Jr. I think everybody eats. We're going to see a better offensive efficiency. I believe in whatever Liam Cohen does, and I think a good comp for kind of what my baseline expectation is here, or I guess not baseline, but kind of what the ceiling can be, is before Godwin got hurt last season when Liam Cohen was in Tampa Bay, we had Mike Evans at wide receiver 15. Chris Godwin was at wide receiver 2 through 7 weeks before Godwin got hurt. And I think that that's a decent expectation. I think one of these guys can flirt with like top 3 numbers. One of them can be a very high-end wide receiver 2, low-end wide receiver 1. And because we don't really know which is which yet, I don't really want to hurt one or the other in terms of rankings, right? Like there's a chance, like I'm that much of a believer in Travis Hunter that even as good as Brian Thomas Jr. was last year, we see Travis Hunter in, 2-3 years be the main guy on this roster. But I think there's still going to be plenty of targets to go around with Liam Cohen. I think the offense is going to be plenty good as well. And I'm not really moving Brian Thomas down. He still had one of the most productive and efficient rookie wide receiver seasons last year. I believe in Trevor Lawrence. I know that that's probably the big talking point, and that's why I compared this to Baker, Godwin, Evans. Yes, you can make the comp of Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, but Burrow is, of course, another tier above Trevor Lawrence. I don't think Baker is really that crazy of a comp for Trevor Lawrence at this point in his career, but I am still a Trevor Lawrence believer where I do think he could see a true ceiling with Travis Hunter, with Brian Thomas Jr., and all of a sudden he leaps into like top 10 quarterback conversation. So as I have it right now, and I think the way that we're going to end this stream is like as I'm wrapping up, we will do a round 1, just like off the top of my dome, round 1 rookie mock draft. And as of right now, I would have Travis Hunter as my 102. Again, I'm not going to ding him for now being next to Brian Thomas Jr. I think that there's enough for both of them to eat. He gets a massive upgrade in terms of offensive environment, right? His quarterback goes from potentially, I don't know, rookie number 33 overall, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, now to Trevor Lawrence. And they traded up so much for him, and we've gotten so much information on how much offense he's going to play. To me, he is the 102. Next up, Ashton Jeanty goes to the Raiders at pick 6 overall. We don't really have to talk about this one too much, but I did just want to touch on it. It's nice that there's no messiness, right? He doesn't go to the Bears where they have DeAndre Swift. He doesn't go to, where else was he kind of rumored to? He doesn't go to the Jaguars where they already have ETN, Tank Bigsby. And it's like, those are like mild stepping stones, right? Like none of them are really impeding anything, but the Raiders just have nothing, right? Like nothing behind Ashton Jeanty. You also have Chip Kelly in there as the new OC. So that's really exciting. I also think like Geno Smith is a serviceable enough quarterback. Like the Raiders, they've had the stench of like Minshew and last year with Aiden O'Connell. Now you bring in Geno Smith, you bring in Ashton Jeanty, and Ashton Jeanty right away. I mean, we're talking 250 plus, 300 plus touches, main bell cow guy, easy first round pick in redraft, easy 101 in your rookie drafts, and he immediately with 6th overall draft capital hits legendary tier in the RS grade model, which I have gotten questions like, what is the RS grade model? But the RS grades are simply my prospect model. You have bronze, silver, gold, elite, legendary. Ashton Jeanty's legendary. He looks like the next, Bijan, Saquon, Zeke Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, monster fantasy producer. And he is going to be in the Bijan Gibbs tier, I think in all formats. In redraft and dynasty, he should be right next to those guys. Now, I did want to touch on the Jets for a second here. I don't think people are going to be happy that I'm going to talk about the Jets, but not even from like a real life perspective, but from a fantasy perspective, they get Armand Memmu. And I think it's important to note that the winner here is I just think Jets' offensive efficiency should be better. Their offensive line is now Fashanu, who was a first-round pick, John Simpson, who was great last year as a free agent, Joe Tittman, 6'6" center, second-round pick, Elijah Vera Tucker, former first-round pick, and now Membu, first-round pick. It is probably the best offensive line the Jets have had since the Sanchez days with Nick Mangold and the Brickashaw Ferguson and, like the Damian Woodies of the world. And I think Alan Fanico was there for a hot second. This is the best offensive line they've had. And when we look at just kind of the top offenses in the league, right, and you look at composite, run block and pass block rankings, of course, the Bengals are on the bottom left. But when it comes to good offenses, you want good offensive lines. So Tampa Bay is up and to the right. Green Bay is up there. Philly, the Bills, the Broncos are up there. Detroit's up there. San Fran's up there. The Ravens are up and to the right. A lot of times, offensive efficiency comes from the offensive line first and foremost, unless if you are the Bengals last year, right? Like most of the bad offenses from last year, right? The Giants, the Patriots, the Browns, the Texans had a huge down year. A lot of them had bad offensive lines. So I think that this is sort of huge for, the rushing efficiency of what they do with Fields, the rushing efficiency of what they do with Breece Hall, etc. Now, let's get to Tet McMillan. Ted McMillan goes 8th overall, and Ted McMillan obviously is a huge winner, right? Massive winner, Ted McMillan. He goes from somebody that could have gone in the 20s, right, in terms of projected draft capital, and that matters. Draft capital is the biggest input in anybody's prospect model. So when you go from pick in the 20s, and remember, a big upgrade to the RS grading system this year for the wide receiver model is instead of first round, second round, third round, it is pick by pick. So Ted McMillan, if he goes in the 20s, that's a huge discrepancy from if he goes 8th overall. And this is where he comes out. Oh boy, that is not the screenshot I wanted to share. This is the screenshot I wanted to share. Here is where Ted McMillan comes out in the RS grading model. He is sadly the highest graded gold in the database. So he doesn't hit the 8.5 threshold, but I do think, the thresholds are arbitrary, and just so you can put, an 8.7 RS grade, what does that mean? What is that hit rate? We now have Ted McMillan 8.49. He is right there next to Drake London. He is a fine wide receiver prospect. I'm going to be treating him as a low-end elite, right? Again, we're talking about 0.01 away from hitting the elite threshold. He's still really, really solid. 8th overall draft capital. And it's actually pretty funny. Somewhere between Mike Williams and Drake London, which I think is actually a really good kind of range of outcomes for Ted McMillan. He goes to the Panthers that don't really have any competition there, right? I guess you can say Adam Thielen. I'm not the biggest believer in Leggett. I think Jalen Coker, as much as I love him, is just kind of a role player outside wide receiver. So you now have Ted McMillan in a spot where he can play inside and out. Canales is going to scheme him up. Bryce Young has made some strides here. And getting that 8th overall draft capital, getting to a spot that has a serviceable quarterback and plenty of targets to go around, he's now going to get a ton of volume. He is squarely in the mix for anywhere between the 102 and 104 in your dynasty rookie drafts. We'll see, where Henderson and where Judkins go in terms of kind of the competition for what to do with Ted McMillan. But I think for right now, that's fine. For me, I would still have Travis Hunter and then probably Cam Ward still ahead. I think Ted for me will be the 104. But if you want to put him as high as 102, I wouldn't fault you. I'm trying to think of anything else to touch on here. Again, the big losers, I would say, is Xavier Leggett. Out to the tight ends, too, right? Tommy Tremble, JT Sanders. I guess Jalen Coker's a small loser. But again, I think him being a role player ancillary piece was always kind of the outcome there. So big win for Ted McMillan to get the 8th overall pick instead of, falling to the 20s, which would have been a tough sign. So I'll be treating him as kind of if Drake London was in this class. To me, I think him and I know that the comps have been kind of played out, him and Drake London, but they both go 8th overall. They're both big wide receivers that were super productive, and they both have slot outside versatility. They both have decent missed tackles forced breaking ability as well. And you can see here as well, we'll talk about Emeka Egbuka in a second when we get to that pick. But Egbuka grades out well, too. Those are, I don't have Golden on this list. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But that's how the RS grades look for now. Let's move on to Colston Loveland. I don't think there's really anything else to talk about with Ted McMillan. What else? Am I missing anything in the chat? You got Bryce Young was great after getting sat last year. Dave Canales tied with Mike Evans, wanting to go out and get the same guy. Yeah, I like that call. You don't think Xavier and McMillan can coexist? I guess they can, but I just think Xavier Leggett's cooked. He didn't show anything last year. I guess they can coexist. It's just I just don't know what the upside of Xavier Leggett is. I don't know what it looks like when he hits. I don't know. I just don't think it's a great vote of confidence to take a wide receiver 8th overall after taking Leggett in the first round last year and after he kind of did nothing. And Leggett's now going to have to get one of Adam Thielen or Jalen Coker off the field. So I don't know. I would just be shocked if Xavier Leggett did anything. I know people are kind of standing up for Xavier Leggett here, but we can pull up the rookie. I'll pull up the rookie receiver report right here for you guys, but it's not going to be pretty. I don't know how that's a crazy take. He wasn't good last year. I think that he's a downgrade in Dynasty for sure, and he wasn't really somebody I was all that interested in. Yeah, in the rookie receiver report, I guess he commanded some volume. I guess 19.4% targets per out run is actually not terrible. But I don't know. I guess it depends on what your expectations for Xavier Leggett is. I think the likelihood of him ever being a meaningful even wide receiver 2 in fantasy is pretty low. But can he stick around in the league and be like a wide receiver 3 for fantasy here and there? I guess that's fine. Right? This is the rookie receiver report from last year. Rookie wide receivers and tight ends with 200 or more routes. Like it's a downgrade, right? Like he had a 59.4 PFF grade last year. 19.4% targets per out run is pretty good, but it's like it's pretty much what A.D. Mitchell did, right? A.D. Mitchell got open, right? 25% targets per out run, but then we're talking 1.19 yards per route run, 6.5% first downs per out run, both lower than A.D. Mitchell, and now his wide receiver room is crowded. So I don't see the appeal. I mean, you say that like he was a first rounder though, so they're not going to give up on him in year 2. But I mean, we've seen this with Treylon Burks. We've seen it with Quentin. I guess like Quentin Johnston is actually like a decent comp for Leggett, what he could be this year. But we've seen it with Treylon Burks. We've seen it with even like I know Jonathan Mingo wasn't a first round pick, but after year 1, like he was pretty much out of there. I don't know. I just struggled to kind of see the upside. I'm surprised you guys are like sticking up for Leggett. I just don't really. Yeah, like I could see Coker being ahead of Leggett. Like I think as well, Coker is like a more natural fit, just like a pure outside receiver. Leggett's tough. Like I don't know that they're going to be dying to give him scheme touches in this offense. Buy, sell, hold, talk about breakfast. Get out of here. All right. After that, let's move on. Like I said, Ted McMillan, big winner, locking in that draft capital. Then we have Colston Loveland at 10th overall. Pretty crazy that Colston Loveland went ahead of Tyler Warren, 10th overall. He was rumored as a guy that was slipping because of medical issues. He gets the highest draft capital possible here. I think like the only, like I would call Loveland a winner, right? Because he gets drafted higher than we thought he would. And then he also gets a good a good and creative play caller, which to me is exciting for him, right? With Ben Johnson, who we've seen have monster seasons with Sam Laporta, another young, great tight end, and then also young ascending quarterback in Caleb Williams. The only knock is we have talked about it in the past, and it's something that Andrew Cooper harps on for these tight ends, is in theory you'd like to be a top 2 target in your offense to be a top 5 tight end in any given season. So he's going to have less targets than DJ Moore. He'll have less than Rome Odunze. That's like a little bit concerning for redraft purposes, but I think long-term in Dynasty, I think this is a great spot. Again, attached to Caleb Williams, attached to Ben Johnson. The fact that he's the third option as the tight end, could it have been better elsewhere, right? Like I'm looking at the other landing spots. Could it have been better if he went to the Jets or the Jaguars? I guess the Jaguars would have been a better spot, but even the Jets, I mean, his quarterback would be Justin Fields. So would you rather be the third option with Caleb and Ben Johnson or the second option with Justin Fields? I'm not sure. I know, like I was talking about kind of, the Tyler Warren landing spots, but I'm just sort of talking through if like Colston Loveland got drafted to those spots instead. I think the only place that would have been better for Loveland would have been 22nd to the Chargers, right? Because then you have Herbert, Ladd McConkey, and then it's Colston Loveland. But I think that this is still absolutely great. You have this is a good tweet from David Gattiari, who is also kind of a tight end guy. It's a little bit of a cherry pick stat, I won't lie, and I think that he knows that too. But tight ends drafted top 10 this century, so what, since 2000, have posted at least a NFL season with 1,000-plus yards or 10-plus touchdowns. The only one that hasn't is Hawkinson, and he's gotten damn close. He should end up having a solid year or a solid season at some point. And I think in tight end premium, again, I'm not taking him over Genty, Ward, Hunter, McMillan. I probably take... Like, this is where it gets tough projecting out the first round because we don't have day 2 landing spots yet. But I think that he's probably squarely in play as early as like 106, 107, 108, Colston Loveland. And then when we talk about kind of the winners and losers here, Colston Loveland is a winner, again, locking in top 10 draft capital and going to not the Colts, I think is a huge win. And then Caleb Williams, big win, right? Where now he has an extra weapon. I imagine that the vision for Ben Johnson with Colston Loveland in this offense is a lot of slot usage for Colston Loveland. Maybe a lot of 12 personnel too, where Cole Kmet plays in line, Colston Loveland plays in line with Rome Odunze and DJ Moore on the outsides. You get some kind of like variability there. And then of course, like the biggest loser here is Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet is now banished to the Shadow Realm in a similar fashion to Michael Mayer last year, right? Where Brock Bowers comes in and Michael Mayer's like completely done. Like Cole Kmet is dust now. Like, he's not going to run enough routes to be usable in fantasy. Maybe he even like kind of requests a trade. Like if I was in his camp, I would be telling him to do that. But let's move on to Tyler Warren to the Colts, huh? No, I'm going to get to the Bucs pick in a second, but you shouldn't feel this way. The Bucs are not cooked. We're going to get to the Bucs here eventually. But let's talk about Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren goes 14th to the Colts, and Tyler Warren is sadly one of the biggest losers of the day. There was hype for him to go as high as 5th to the Jags, 8th to the Panthers. I guess even 7th to the Jets would have been better, but he loses draft capital that we thought he was going to get. He goes 14th. And now his quarterback is Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones. So you're getting probably subpar efficiency, probably bottom 5 to 10 passing volume and passing yardage. And then you're also now, we just talked about with Andrew Cooper in terms of competing with other targets as a tight end. You want to be in like the top 2 or 3, preferably. He's now going to have to compete with Michael Pittman, who was a 3rd-round pick in redraft leagues just a season ago. Josh Downs, who I think is damn good. Alec Pierce, who's a solid NFL wide receiver. A.D. Mitchell, who's a young, up-and-coming, potential high upside guy. And then it's Tyler Warren. Now, he's probably going to end up like 2 or 3 on that totem pole. We'll see if Steichen gets fancy when it comes to his rushing production or if he puts him in for like short yardage situations. It's just not good all around. Now, here's what I will say. As much as I believe all of that, this is worst case scenario. I will say, like, in terms of winners here, there's really not many. I think all of the pass catchers kind of get dinged here. And then I guess the only winner is the quarterback, but we don't know how much Daniel Jones will see. We don't know how much Anthony Richardson will see. We don't know what that battle is going to look like. So just like across the board, I guess I would say JT is probably the biggest winner, where now the passing game gets an upgrade from efficiency standpoint, and Tyler Warren can block in line. So I think that is probably good for JT and what this running game can be. But outside of that, it's pretty rough. Now, what I will say is no one was stoked about the Brock Bowers landing spot last year. People were crazy enough that after night 1, they were ranking him like 12th or 11th overall. We stood firm on having him even above Rome Odunze. And I do believe in the talent of Tyler Warren. I think that he's a damn good tight end prospect. And I think I would have him somewhere in the late first, probably somewhere around like 111, 112, 201 area. I think that's probably fair for him in tight end premium. And I don't want to get lost in the fact that he is still a good player that I want to be taking eventually. But let's move on to Egbuka. Now, I don't have... I'm going to take a screenshot of the rest of the draft here. I can't believe that my screen share is not working. It's annoying. For anybody that's new and coming in, before we get to the second half of this draft, we're going to talk about Emeka Egbuka here in a second. Give me a second to talk about... Geez, what are we doing here? Let me just do this, yeah. I think that this is fine. And we'll talk about Emeka Egbuka. Just take a second. Check out Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code Rondo. Match your first deposit up to $1,000. You have links in the description and the comment section down below. They have a ton of promos going on for the NBA. You have a Luka Doncic free pick over on Underdog. All of that good stuff and more for the NBA playoffs. So, links to that will be in the description and the comment section down below. Let's talk some Emeka Egbuka, because this was one of the weird ones, right? 19th overall, seemingly out of nowhere, Emeka Egbuka gets taken. And it kind of sent people in a frenzy, right? It's not the sexiest landing spot because he doesn't get to come in and be the 1, or even the 2, really. They already have Mike Evans. They already have Chris Godwin. They already have Jalen McMillan. They already have Cade Otton. It's a really crowded room. But I think when we zoom out, and if you want to just sort of talk about it from a real-life perspective for a second here, you got to remember, they had stretches last year. If you guys remember, do you remember the, what was it? The Thursday night game, it was Chiefs versus Buccaneers. In the Bucs wide receiver room, they had no Godwin, they had no Mike Evans, they had no Jalen McMillan. They were rolling out there like Sterling Shepard, Raheem Jarrett, Ryan Miller, Trey Palmer, and they were scratching and clawing with a crazy bad wide receiver room. And I think at this point, Mike Evans getting older, Chris Godwin coming off another major injury. Jalen McMillan was good, but in terms of, low-key kind of sharp from the front office. If you dig into Jalen McMillan's numbers, he was kind of carried by touchdowns. His rookie year looks a lot similar to a guy like Jahan Dotson's rookie year. But you bring in Emeka Egbuka, and I think it's great from a real-life perspective. Now, when we zoom in on fantasy, this is where it gets tough in terms of the winners and losers. I think I'm going to have a lot of Emeka Egbuka in Dynasty, and here's why. I do want to talk about Emeka Egbuka first. This is where he ends up grading for me in the RS grades, and this is my prospect model. You can believe in it or not. 19th overall. I initially had him projected for 30th overall. So 11 spots is a decent little bit. It boosts him up so that he's not like just barely an elite wide receiver prospect, but he's a firm one. Like, he is grading better than Tet. Now, I'm not going to rank him ahead of Tet. I think sometimes, again, what the purpose of the model is, and this is what sometimes drives me crazy, is I'll have people in the comments saying, oh, well, your model says this, and then you deviate from it. Yeah, that's the point. Like, the model is a compass, and it guides us, but it's not the answers to the test. Like, I don't just sort my model, and then those are my wide receiver rankings. I take it into account. I take other things into account. I take context into account, landing spot into account, all of that, and I make my decisions that way. Emeka Egbuka, off the top of my head, is probably my wide receiver 3. We'll see where Luther Burden goes in this draft on day 2 here. But I'm fine with Emeka Egbuka in the second round. He grades out really strong, 8.63, firmly an elite wide receiver prospect. Now, in terms of what he looks like early on, I think the interesting part with Emeka Egbuka is he's already had to do this. He's already had to compete next to Marvin Harrison Jr., next to Olave, Garrett Wilson, JSN, Jeremiah Smith. He knows how to compete and produce next to high-end wide receiver talent, and I think he can. I would assume that it's kind of interchangeable, him and Chris Godwin in the slot. Again, Chris Godwin's coming off a major injury. We'll see how soon he comes back and is at full strength. And I think with Emeka Egbuka, if he can just show per-out efficiency and have a strong year 1, I think that we're working with something good there. Now, like, he doesn't have high-end upside where this year he can pop off like Brian Thomas Jr. did, or Malik Neighbors, or have like crazy upside like that. But to me, he's one of the highest floor prospects in this draft. He goes to a spot with Baker Mayfield, a good infrastructure already in place. And I think that's exciting. And again, he gets firm 19th overall draft capital, which is really strong for him. So for me, again, if he ends up sliding, people aren't crazy about this landing spot, I'll be scooping him up, whether that's 110, 111, 112. Those are all absolutely fine to me. Now, in terms of like the winners and losers as we zoom out, big winner, I think, is Baker Mayfield. Baker now has tons of weapons at his disposal. Evans, Godwin, Egbuka, McMillan, Otten, Bucky Irving out of the backfield. I think Bucky Irving's a winner as well, where he's going to see less stacked boxes. He's going to see more offensive efficiency in general. But then the losers. I think all Tampa Bay pass catchers are losers in this situation. I will say I think least of them all is Mike Evans. I get it's not great, but Mike Evans has never been, like, I'll pull it up right now. Mike Evans has never been like a 30% target share guy. Now, he's definitely increased that in previous years, but he's always thrived on like a 20% target share and just monster efficiency and monster touchdown totals, which I think you can still expect from him. Yeah, like last year, 24% target share, that was 31st in the NFL. The year before that, 24%, 19th in the NFL. Year before that, 19.7%, 37th in the NFL. And in that year, he was still the wide receiver 13 in points per game. So I think that he's like a fine high-end wide receiver 2 in fantasy. He's going to have like probably like a 19-20% target share. His yards per out run will probably still be like in the top 10 area. He'll probably flirt with double-digit touchdowns. And to me, I think that's good enough where he's still going to be fine. He's still going to flirt with back-end wide receiver 1 production, flirt with high-end wide receiver 2 production. I think the biggest hit is Chris Godwin. To me, Chris Godwin's the biggest hit here. I think first and foremost, I don't want to overreact, but I wonder how much this pick had to do with Chris Godwin's injury. Maybe it's like not the most positive news in the world coming out of like whatever's happening with his injury, but I think also the biggest thing to latch onto with him is this from Fantasy Points data. The biggest reason that I was in on Chris Godwin this past season was because he was going to be used in the slot. Now the issue is you bring in Emeka Egbuka, who is a primarily slot receiver. Now, maybe he blows our socks off and he's this Justin Jefferson guy who played a ton inside, and then he goes to the NFL and all of a sudden he's an amazing outside receiver. I would say that that's probably unlikely. I imagine him and Godwin are going to be splitting a lot of these slot reps, which means Godwin in 2021 to 2023, so this was going into last season, in games with 65% or more in the slot, 17.5 points per game, all other games 12.4. So you now have Godwin, who's getting older, is coming off a major injury, and now isn't going to have the juicy like slot-only usage that was getting him to like 19, 20 points per game this past season. So I think that that is the biggest concern for me, that now if he's going to be used inside and out, coming off an injury, I think Godwin is huge stock down, just like across the board, whether that's redraft, dynasty, everything. And then I think you can also kind of banish Cade Otton to the shadow realm. I don't think that Cade Otton is going to be fantasy relevant at all moving forward. And then you can also say McMillan probably banished as well, where he's now wide receiver 4 and an afterthought moving forward. Now, let's get to the next fantasy viable pick. We have Omarion Hampton to the Chargers. Now, I will say, this is where we get to the spot in my notes where I no longer have any notes, all right? I took notes for like the top half of the draft. I wanted to go live for you guys and not, take forever to hit record here in the morning. But this is where we're at with the Chargers. Of course, big loser is Najee Harris, but I think anyone that thought Najee was just going to be the RB1 by himself in this offense was probably mistaken. Now, Omarion Hampton locks in round 1 draft capital. That's a dub. He goes to the Chargers, who have a great offensive line, right? Rashawn Slater. They have Joe Alt. They're one of the run-happiest teams in the NFL this past season. I do want to look up team stats on ESPN in terms of like where they were actually at in terms of rushing offense, but this is a team that wants to run the ball. They invest in the position now, and Omarion Hampton looks like a really solid round 1 running back prospect. He is, like we said earlier, 102 to 104 is where I would have him now, which is really good. Now, of course, you do have Najee Harris in the mix. They didn't pay him a ton of money. Like, I do want to look this up. I think that they paid him like kind of backup money. And then they also tell you with their actions, they just drafted a running back in the first round. So I'm not super concerned with Najee, but what I will say is he is historically a volume sponge. He can catch passes out of the backfield. He might be like a little annoying at first, but when we talk about dynasty, it's not really something that's on my radar. Like if I go to keep trade cut in terms of where I would rank Omarion Hampton right now, I would have Genty ahead. I would have Bijan ahead. I would have Gibbs ahead. But then we get to Saquon, Achane. Yeah, I would have Hampton as RB4, I think. I think so. I think I would put Hampton ahead of Achane. I think I would put him ahead of Saquon. I don't know if that's crazy to say, but I think you lock in first-round draft capital. You lock in Justin Herbert, Harbaugh, an amazing offensive line. Najee's only on a 1-year deal. Again, he'll maybe be annoying in year 1, but I don't think that it'll be meaningful in any way long-term for Omarion Hampton. So he, huge winner, great landing spot for him. But it's just not, the only thing you can sort of take away is that it's just not what it could have been if you went to how Genty went to the Raiders, and it's just like completely wheels up. And I will say, because Hampton goes to the Chargers, I will say a winner from round 1 as well is Jaylen Warren on the Steelers, right? The Steelers don't take any running back in round 1. I also think, let me pull up the draft order. I don't think that they have a round 2 pick, the Steelers. Yeah, the Steelers don't have a pick in round 2. So, I mean, Jaylen Warren gets a nice bump here as well. So, we'll see what happens with Hampton. Again, I think that he's going to get plenty of volume. Is he going to challenge for 300-plus touches and be like a first-round redraft pick like Genty? No. But he's still going to be really strong and kind of reminds me of guys like rookie Jonathan Taylor, rookie Breece Hall, and these guys weren't even first-round picks. Now, moving on from Omarion Hampton, let's get to Matthew Golden. And I'll actually do this live on air. We will input his draft capital into the model. This is actually kind of a hit for, I would call Golden a loser just because I think going from 12th overall for a guy like him, right, where his profile is carried by draft capital, right? He really has nothing else going for him besides draft capital. He ends up going 23rd overall. I got to scroll down a lot to find Matthew Golden here, fellas. I'm going to be honest. Or I don't have to scroll down a lot. But in terms of round one wide receiver prospects, he definitely gets a nice downgrade. But he kind of still ends up, like, I'll sort by round one wide receivers here for you guys. And we can kind of see the area that these guys fall under. He falls under, like, the guys closest to him. It's actually not that bad. He falls in between Rashad Bateman and Jordan Addison. Rashad Bateman, Jordan Addison, like DJ Moore's kind of in his area. Then you also have Jahan Dotson, Jalen Reagor, Ricky Pearsall, Treylon Burks, John Ross. So it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but I think I'm probably indifferent on Matthew Golden. I think that he definitely gets a downgrade from Cowboys 12th overall, right? Because then it's like very clear it's CeeDee Lamb and then it's Matthew Golden. Dak Prescott's a good quarterback, but this is where he grades out here. This is where he grades out. Matthew Golden, 23rd to the Packers. Again, just a small loss because he didn't go 12th overall to the Cowboys, but I think 23rd overall to the Packers is still just fine. And he's still in this range where he's like a fine first-round wide receiver prospect. A lot more hit and miss than guys like Ted McMillan and Travis Hunter, but I think he's still probably a fine 1-2 turn pick in your rookie draft. He's attached to Jordan Love. Really, the only issue is this has been a low-volume passing offense, and it's been messy. Right? Like, where does he kind of shake out on the totem pole between Romeo Doubs and Jayden Reed? I think I would call Jayden Reed a loser, right? Where Jayden Reed's already had issues getting route participation, and you now get Matthew Golden out there, who I would assume they drafted to be out there in two wide receiver sets with Romeo Doubs. I didn't even mention Dontavion Wicks. So I would say losers are Dontavion Wicks and Jayden Reed, where it just seems like it's just not a vote of confidence for those guys. It's just not. And I will say, too, like, the Packers are a lower volume passing offense than the Cowboys. Like, that's the only other concern. Like, if we look at pass attempts from last season, the Packers had the third least. So, passing volume is not really there. Crowded wide receiver room. But I think, generally speaking, like, it could have been worse for Golden. Like, if Golden went to the Bucs, I think this would be worse. I'm trying to think of... So, I think Wicks loses. I think Reed loses. I think that's it. I guess Jordan Love's small winner, if you want to say that. Jordan Love is a small winner, if you want to say that. Let's move on to the next player. What do you think? Did we cover enough on Matthew Golden? But like I said, I think that he's a fine 1-2 turn pick in rookie drafts. I think however you felt about him before, you probably still feel about Matthew Golden. Donovan Jackson to the Vikings doesn't really move the needle. I was surprised they didn't trade that pick. Wow. And then we have Jackson Dart, 25th overall. Jackson Dart, 25th overall. They trade back up. Ayuk and Ricky are back-to-back in this prospect list. Yeah, they're both like weaker. On paper, they're both weaker round one wide receiver prospects. Now, we talk about Jackson Dart. He goes 25th overall, and that's where it gets tricky. We're actually kind of doing this live on air. I want to see. I think I already had Jackson Dart as getting late one round. I don't know why I can't speak, but I think I already had him as a late round one pick, so I don't think there's really anything that has to get updated for him. But let's pull this up real quick. Let's compare some first round quarterbacks. He goes 25th. He's going to have Malik Nabers. It's a weird room of Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson. I don't know. I still can't really fathom why they did that. I will say a big loser, and we'll touch on that after this, is Shedeur. Shedeur not going first round and not going top 12 is really not good for him. So where Jackson Dart ends, and this is what I want to show you guys, he ends up as a silver statue quarterback with this draft capital. And I just sort of want to look through late first round picks because this is my fear. We see a big drop-off. Once you're not taken inside of the top 12 picks, there is a big drop-off in hit rate. And this is what I want to show you guys. The hits and the misses in the late first round and how they graded in my quarterback model. So these are quarterbacks taken in the first round, but outside of the top 12 picks, and then what they graded out as in the model. You're hoping for, like, Jordan Love is what you're hoping for, is kind of what it comes down to. I think Teddy Bridgewater is a decent baseline expectation for him. So let's bring this up right here. Come on. So this is kind of what you're expecting with Dart. This is your RS grades sorted by draft picks. This is since 2007, the quarterbacks to get drafted at the back end of the first round. The only elite one is Lamar Jackson, and that was really just because he had monster rushing production. You're hoping for Jordan Love. I guess you're hoping for Joe Flacco. Like, isn't a bad one, right? Jackson Dart, you can see 25th overall. But the guys in this range, like, we're talking Mac Jones, Dwayne Haskins, EJ Manuel, Josh Freeman. Joe Flacco's a hit, but then it's like Kenny Pickett, Johnny Manziel, Brandon Weeden, Brady Quinn, Tim Tebow. So it's really Flacco, it's Jordan Love, it's Lamar Jackson. All I'm kind of saying is be aware of what the hit rate is. But what I will say about Jackson Dart, and research that I probably am going to have for a video coming up here, and maybe I'll preview it here. But I was messing around with the value of rookie picks and, like, kind of what you can expect at each pick and what you can expect for each player and the hit rates for each player. In drafting a quarterback, like, anywhere in a rookie draft is usually pretty good. And the thing with Jackson Dart, I mean, I'm not saying he's Lamar Jackson. I was just saying Lamar Jackson's the only, I don't know why I'm getting flamed. Did I make a Jackson Dart Lamar Jackson comparison? So what we have here is at least a dynasty asset that's really interesting, because I think the minute that he starts, he ends up providing value. Like, he can definitely be similar to Penix, but he's much shakier without going top 12 is kind of his issue. I would say, like, his more realistic expectations are kind of like Josh Freeman, who, funny enough, had a top 12 finish. Like, Josh Freeman, EJ Manuel. Like, I won't be crazy about Jackson Dart is what I'm saying. Silver quarterbacks getting taken this late. You're hoping for Jordan Love. You're praying for Jordan Love. I do believe in Brian Dable. I do think that it's a win for Jackson Dart to get first-round draft capital, but outside of that, I won't be getting too crazy. Like, to me, he's a late first in your rookie draft. I probably still take Warren over him. I probably still take Loveland over him. I probably still take Egbuka over him. I think it's really close with Matthew Golden. How is Dart and Mac Jones both statues? It's really just that Dart's a better mover, and statue isn't so much like athleticism based. It's more just based on your rushing fantasy points per snap, which I'll show as well for Jackson Dart. So you can kind of see the range that he's in terms of rushing fantasy points. Because I think that will be interesting to look at. Let's see where he comes in. He comes in pretty low, so I can't find him. Where the heck is he? Oh, he comes in, like, right at the top of statue. Like, he just barely misses the cutoff. So that's actually kind of a good shout. I think statue's probably doing him a disservice in terms of what his actual rushing upside is. Let me just take a picture of this for you guys real quick. So rushing fantasy points per snap of first-round quarterbacks. This is the range he falls in. From Jared Goff to Bo Nix in terms of rushing scale. So it's actually a good shout, but I think the issue is like, we're still talking in terms of, like, rushing upside with Jackson Dart. It's still nothing crazy. Like, it's probably a few hundred. Depends on kind of how much you believe in him. Like, I'll send this in a second. Because he does fall. Again, I think statue probably is doing him dirty. This is where he falls in terms of round one running backs and rushing fantasy points per snap. These are all of the mobile to statues with round one. Like, Zach Wilson's up there, Bo Nix in terms of 0.1 or better. You have Joe Burrow, Baker, who are still in the mix to give you a few hundred every year. Then you get the Jackson Dart, who hit statue with like Tua, Jameis Winston, Herbert, Sam Darnold, Bryce Young. So I think you can definitely expect like a few hundred from him in terms of rushing production. It's just like, I got to be honest, I got to see where he goes in rookie drafts, but I don't think I'll have a ton of him. I'm trying to think. I guess like Malik Neighbors, slight win, that he at least has like some upside at quarterback. And then I will say loser is going to be Shedeur Sanders, where I'm going to give him round 2 draft capital live on air, and I'll kind of show you what that does to him as a fantasy asset. So his draft capital gets a hit, and let's just say he goes 33rd to the Browns, and that's like his best. That's a dream scenario for him at this point. Let's pull this up. I think it probably downgrades him to a silver statue, would be my guess. Oh man, it might actually take him out of silver. No, he's still a silver statue. Silver statue at the early second, I guess, is like still fine. Let's see where he grades out. So I get he would be like in the like he would actually kind of be similar to like a Kyle Trask. I guess he'd be kind of in like the Drew Lock area. At that point, to me, if he goes in the second round, Shedeur, I think he's probably like a mid second round rookie pick. Let me show you a couple things here, fellas. I'm going to show you where he grades out compared to other second round picks at quarterback, and then I also want to show you some hit rate data that I was looking at in terms of rookie picks. Now, I don't know if I might make a video just based on hit rates and just kind of like the true value of your rookie picks, or I might just start kind of referencing it as we get into rookie draft season here. But here's 2 things I want to show. First up, this is where Shedeur, or nope, that is Dart. My bad. This is where Shedeur kind of fits in as a silver second round quarterback pick. You have like Pat White, I think would have been sweet in this day and age. But you have Drew Lock, Andy Dalton, Geno Smith, and then those are 3 that are like his upside comps. Derek Carr for sure. But then you're talking like Will Levis, you're talking Deshaun Kaiser, Kyle Trask, Kevin Cobb, Drew Stanton, Brian Brom. So it's just not, I don't know, like maybe he's Derek Carr. I would kind of be shocked. There's definitely some upside there, but there's also like he could just be Kyle Trask and he burns a hole in your roster. And then also I think that this is a good chart to look at where if he ends up being a second round quarterback, this is hit rates by position by round. And when it says second round quarterback, that means second round rookie pick quarterback, right? So in the second round of your rookie drafts, and they're one of the better positions to take in that area of your rookie draft, right? Where second round quarterbacks, they busted a 44.1% clip, which is actually a higher floor than your second round running backs, your second round wide receivers, and your second round tight ends. So they actually have the highest floor of second round rookie picks. And I do want to say as well, like in terms of bust, hit rate, smash rate, smash means that you like went crazy in terms of your startup value gain from year 1 to year 2. Hits like you did just fine. And then bust means you just like completely synced your pick there. So second round quarterback smash rate of 33% as well, I think is probably the best smash rate of any second round pick as well. Yeah, 33% smash rate for second round quarterbacks is better than second round running backs, second round wide receivers, second round tight ends. Again, this is all rookie hit rates. I know I wish that I kind of spelled that out a little easier, but you can see there is something to be said about second round rookie picks as quarterbacks. Like it's not a terrible upside swing, but I think if I'm going to take a swing on one, it will be Jalen Milroe for sure. Now, moving on from the Jackson Dart stuff, let's talk about our our next fantasy football player. We have the Falcons reaching on James Pierce, which was just bonkers. Malachi Starks. Is there anything else to really talk about? Did I cover everything? Are we done here? Josh Connerly goes. I don't think that we really need to talk about the Washington pass protection. Maxwell Hairston, and then Josh Simmons to the Chiefs. What else do we got, fellas? Is that kind of it? We've been going for like about an hour. Oh, yeah. I want to do a rookie mock real quick on Sleeper. And just kind of spitball how I would draft the first round just based off of vibes real quick. But what else? Hit me with any questions you got. I'm trying to think of if I missed anything. That's actually a good point too. Tyrone Tracy, quiet winner from today. That the Giants no longer have. I think the Giants no longer have. What did they end up giving up? The Giants gave up what, like 34. So they no longer have a second round pick. What do the Giants have left in terms of if Milroe drops to the third round, are you out on him? Probably not. I think I would still take him as a rookie third. Did you think the Chargers taking Hampton affected his stock? No. If anybody's like freaking out about Najee Harris in 2025, I would be shocked, man. I am a Amarian Hampton, to me, easy lock top 4 guy. They have a high third and a fourth left. Yeah, so that's actually a good point. Now the Giants are no longer a threat to take like Judkins at 34 was kind of the issue. You said talk about how the Eagles killed the draft every year. Campbell was a steal. Yeah, Eagles stay doing that. I'm trying to think. Would Burden to Cleveland put him ahead or behind Igbuka for you? He would be behind Igbuka for me. Anything else? Anything else I'm missing, fellas? What else is like? Okay, so let's bring this up and feel free to ask me questions. Oh my god, are we gonna have issues again with this damn screen share, dude? I think we're gonna have issues with the screen share. Oh. I can't believe this. Yeah, get me out of screen share. I don't know. My screen share is not working right now. So how am I going to do a rookie mock? Is there something? Can I write on something? I got an idea. This is what we're going to do. All right. So let's do a rookie mock here in text. This is what we'll do. Just bear with me, fellas. We're getting creative today. We are getting creative today. All right, so let's get this. Let's do this. All right, so number 1, we are gonna go Ashton Genty with the Comic Sans font here. How does that look? Okay, so number 1 is Ashton Genty. Number 2. I guess we'll do this across the bottom now that I think about it. Let's do this across the bottom. What am I using for screen share? I use Ecamm Live, and it's never given me issues like this, but it's been having problems recently. Let's just do this real quick. We'll end on this, fellas. And I will say, before you guys get out of here, make sure if you enjoyed this kind of breakdown of round 1, leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Again, I will have my rookie rankings. Like, I'm going to be updating all the RS grades, all the prospect stuff. I'll probably have a kind of official RS grades out tomorrow after all of the day 3 picks. If you want to know how players grade out in the RS grades, if you want to know my rookie rankings that I'll have pretty much out as soon as day 3 ends tomorrow. My Dynasty rankings update will be out very soon. All of that and more, patreon.com/Ron Stewart. You can find that in the description and the comment section down below. Now, in terms of my first round rankings, I would go Genty 1. I would go Travis Hunter 2. I would go I think off the top of my head, I would go Cam Ward over Amarian Hampton, but that's just I've been pretty firm on that. You could spin me out of that if you wanted to. Or maybe we'll actually just do tiers. Like I think that we'll put Genty in S. We'll then put Hunter, Ward, and Amarian in A tier. My bad. B tier is probably Loveland at this point, and the OSU RBs. This is the most bootleg thing I've ever done, fellas. I like Amarian. It's just like quarterbacks and super flex are super high values, and I love Travis Hunter that much. But then what do we have after that? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Loveland and the OSU RBs. What does that get us to? So then we're like talking Warren, Egbuka. I think in C tier you go Egbuka. You go... I probably still go Warren over Shedeur. Or not Shedeur, but Dart. And then where does that get us? That's 1 Genty, 2 Hunter, 3 Ward, 4 Hampton, 5 Loveland, 6 OSU, 7 OSU, 8 Egbuka, 9 Warren, 10 Dart. So then it's like Burden, it's Caleb. Oh, we gotta put Gold. Oh, we gotta put oh shit, you guys are right. I gotta put McMillan in here. Good call. I think I would probably take Hampton over McMillan. I think so. Yeah, I would. Give me McMillan. So we'll go 1 Genty, 2 Hunter, 3 Ward, 4 Hampton, 5 Tet. I think for now I'll go 6 Loveland, not knowing the OSU running backs landing spots. We'll go 7, 8 for the OSU running backs. We'll go 9 Egbuka. We will go... Where does Golden slot in? I think the thing is that I would still take Burden without a landing spot over... You guys taking Burden over Warren and Dart? What do you think there? This is where I'm at right now. So Genty 1, Hunter 2, Cam Ward 3, Hampton 4, 5 McMillan, 6 Loveland in B tier, 7 and 8 as the Ohio State running backs in B tier. C tier is then 9 Egbuka. We're going Burden over Warren, Dart, and Golden. I think I'll probably have Burden over Golden for sure. But then how do we even feel about Golden versus Warren and Dart? What do we think? Matthew Golden versus Tyler Warren is interesting. So Golden goes to the Packers. Burden, this is where it gets tough because we don't have landing spots. But I think I'll just... For now, I'll probably have Dart at the end of this tier. I think I'll do Warren probably ahead of... No. I think this is where I have it right now, fellas. This is my gun to my head. I think gun to my head, I have it Genty 1, Hunter 2, Cam Ward 3, 4 Hampton, 5 McMillan, 6 Loveland, 7, 8 the Ohio State running backs. Huge tier break. 9 Egbuka, 10 Burden, 11 Golden, 12 Warren, 201 Dart. What do you guys think about that? Do we lock that in? I think we lock that in for now. But you could talk me into, after Egbuka, those 4 you could rearrange in any order. But all right, fellas. That's going to do it for us today. We were on here for about an hour. Happy with that, how that went. We broke down all the picks. I know that people have been asking, what's kind of my take on some players. I think, we shed some light on kind of how the model feels about these players. That's where we're at. That's how I feel about the first round after today. I will say in terms of like what my coverage will look like between now and the end of day 3 tomorrow, that was my round 1 thoughts. I don't think I'll do this tomorrow for day 2. I'll debate it. But like tomorrow, I'm probably going to just start working on inputting everything into the spreadsheets, getting rookie rankings ready, and then having we'll do like a rookie mock draft stream tomorrow night after all of the landing spots are final, and we'll just get in here and we'll just kind of brainstorm of how we feel about this class. And then Sunday, I think that you can expect like a top 24, 25 dynasty rookie rankings for me, where I just like dive deep into every single player, kind of what they look like in the model now after getting draft capital. And I will say, I think tonight we'll see how it goes. I don't know if it is for sure, because I have been asked, like, are you streaming? What about this? What about that? I haven't been streaming the draft on this channel because it's just me. I don't want to ramble into a microphone for 4 hours about nothing. And I know you guys are all in other streams as well, whether it's the ESPN main broadcast or like everybody has a stream. That I just think is probably better than what I have to offer. So I'd rather do these kind of like recaps after the fact. Maybe I'll go live and stream after day 2 tonight, but I don't think I will. I've been hopping on other people's streams. I probably should have done a better job promoting that I hopped on Ship Chasing last night, their round 1 stream. Tonight, after I recorded with Ray G, he did kind of leave an open-ended invite to hop on his stream tonight. So if you check out like the Destination Devi stream or the Ray Garvin stream for the NFL draft, I might pop on there for a little bit to talk some fantasy football tonight. We'll see how it goes. But again, I will be live tomorrow night to kind of wrap up the whole thing. We'll do a bunch of rookie mocks when I get my screen, sharing to work here. But as always, appreciate you guys coming out here, watching. What a fun day 1. But this is where the true stuff happens, right? We're gonna get Quinshon Judkins landing spot, Travion Henderson landing spot. How many running backs go on day 2? Where does Burden go to? How far does Shedeur Sanders fall? Does Harold Fannin get day 2 draft capital? So we got a lot going on here. As always, appreciate you guys watching. Subscribe if you're new. Leave a like, comment, all of that good stuff. And I will see y'all in the next one.